Good morning from a lovely sunny UK. What are we on? Episode, I think, 17 of The Love Story. Hope you're all well and staying safe. We'd left it that John and Zoe had been shopping, bought all the bits and pieces for the house. And the only thing they actually got delivered the same day, they were exhausted by the time we got back, but the fridge turned up. Big double fridge he'd bought, which was huge, but there was room in the big kitchen, so it was a really nice open plan kitchen lounge that they'd got. It was like an L-shape sort of villa they'd got, really nice. And the garage, it wasn't quite a double garage, but it was quite big. The fridge came, that was easy, it just pushed in, and they managed to get the guys to lift the other fridge and drop it into the garage, so that was good. Next day, everything started arriving, and he'd spent quite a few bob. He was the TVs. He was an LG fan, so he'd bought LG TVs, and from what I can remember, they were about a 55-inch TV, and he bought 3. But as always, when you go and buy the TVs, you forget about the things like mounting it on the wall. So of course the guys that come, I think they'd got them from Big C. They're quite clever guys. They're not daft. They got those in the van to upsell them to the customer, and they probably charge a bit more. TVs, yes, of course. An extra 600-700 baht for each bracket to go on the wall because the TVs are so big. Well, not compared to some of the ones today, but yeah, they nabbed them for some money on that. Fitted all the TVs, and they didn't fit things like the curtains or it was just electrical TVs. They had to be fitted, and there was just tons of boxes for all the stuff they bought. Microwave. John asked, "We don't want the boxes. Can you take them away?" Yeah, of course we can. But it's going to cost you a tip. What are they like? Throughout the day, everything got delivered that they'd ordered. And once the TVs are up, the guy said, "You've got nothing to plug the TVs into." And John and Zoe sort of scratching their heads, and then they realised they hadn't got any internet into the property. They hadn't got any satellite dishes or TV packages. And like, well, okay, well, we haven't got anything to plug it in yet. And the guys explained you can use your phones and talk to the TVs, and they got smart TVs, so you can get things like YouTube and Netflix and things, but by using your phone. But you really need an internet connection. Anyway, everything got done. All the delivery guys gone. And then Zoe starts talking to John about TVs. And John's like, "I hadn't thought about that. And I haven't got a clue about Thailand and what we need and what we can get." And Zoe said, "Do you like sports? And he said, "Yeah, I do like my sports." She says, "Is there television you like from Australia?" And he's like, "It's bits and pieces, and I quite like to watch a bit of American stuff, and I do like the mixed martial arts and cage fighting and the big boxing events." She said, "Okay." She said, "Well," and he said, "What's our choices?" And she's like, "I don't really know. I'm not sure. And I don't know about getting internet into a house." She said, "We'll have to go back to the shopping mall tomorrow. There's shops. I've seen lots of shops that do internet, but I don't know about TV." And he's looking out the window, and he was looking across at the villa on the other side of the road from him, and he's like, "What's that they've got on their house?" And it was just a satellite, but it said True. And she said, "Oh, that's a company in Thailand, True. They have that in the shopping malls." And he said, "Well, we'll go and ask them maybe tomorrow." Anyway, she's still cleaning. The house it wasn't filthy, but she wanted to clean it properly. And every drawer and cupboard that she was opening and behind stuff, she was finding more and more stuff from the previous owner. And one of the things John didn't realise, there was a huge toolbox in the garage with loads of tools in, so that was a real bonus. But when he just walking around and checking his new castle out, in the pool shed at the pool where the pump is for the swimming pool, the pool room, maybe you call it a pool room, there was loads more tools in there and all sorts of cleaning stuff. But yeah, Zoe kept finding stuff in cupboards and drawers and things that were just knickknacks and bits and pieces, nothing valuable. Didn't find any gold or watches or anything, diamond rings or things. But kept finding stuff, and it's like, do we want this? No. So they started gaining a pile of stuff that they didn't want, plus the old TV and bits and pieces. And she said, John, we need to get rid of all this rubbish. She said, I think if you put it outside the garage and put a sign, I'll write a sign in Thai, free, takeaway, it'll be gone. And he's like, hey, you can try it if you want. And she's, yeah, okay. She gets a bit of cardboard and writes out, takeaway free. And they went off together. They pushed all the stuff out front of the garage, on the side of the road, including the TV and things, put a sign there. And just left it and came back in. And sure enough, there's somebody tapping on the door within about 45 minutes. Thai person talks to Zoe. She said, it's all free, take it away. And they're like, thank you very much. The lock gone. That's no surprise. Absolutely no surprise at all. No car boot sales or garage sales, as far as I know, in Thailand. Well, there is some second-hand car boot places around the country, markets, things, but second-hand markets anyway. And yeah, so again, another day flies by with all this installation work and everything. Next day, they jump on the bikes. They got a choice, 3 bikes. And John says, I'm going to take the new bike from this guy. He's got a new bike anyway, but he says, I'm going to take the bike from the house and try that out. And Zoe jumps on her bike and they zip off up to Market Village or somewhere. About halfway up, the bike from the house breaks down. It just conks out. And John's like, oh, no. Right. And Zoe's like, it can't have been that far. Maybe not halfway. She said, look, I'll push you. And I don't know if you've ever seen Thai people, you get 2 bikes, one's working, the one that's not working, the person sits on it, and the person behind puts the foot on the back of the bike and just pushes them. She goes, look, I'm going to push you back to the house. And they figured it out. It took a few minutes to work it out, but she managed to push him all the way back to the house. And he's like, oh, that's a piece of junk. Didn't look that bad. So he threw it in the garage, gets on his bike, right, let's go again. Off they go. Gets up to Market Village. Zoe's bike's quite old. It's nothing spectacular. And they go in, wander around, and they found this couple of shops, internet shops like 3BB and TOT, but there was a True Shop, and it's bright red sign, pretty. There was no queue or anything. They went in, started asking questions, and it was because of where the house was. All that area already had broadband, fast broadband cabling in place, and rather than the old big satellite dish days, everything can be done now by broadband cable. You just got a box, plugs it all in, it'll all be installed, and they figured out a package, and it was about something like 1,500 baht a month. They could have everything: fast broadband, internet, TV packages for every sports event in the world, every movie, the full package, the big package. Maybe it was closer to 2,000 baht, but with installation, supply and everything, and it would only take a few hours, less than a couple of thousand baht a month, complete package. So Zoe had to sign up for it because it's her house. He could have, But anyway, he set up a direct debit from his Thai bank, and he ordered a package. And as always in Thailand, quite a few of these places, they'll do it the same day. They'll come in. And it was before lunch, and they're like, okay, well, do it this afternoon. Like, we're going to have some lunch. And yep, sorted. They had nothing else to get, so that was all they were going for. Come back, I think it was downstairs or at the back of the car park, jumps on the bikes, off they go, heading home. Zoe's bike conks out. She ran out of fuel. And that was an easy one. There's so many shops that sell bottles of fuel. I know it sounds daft, but yeah, you can get bottles of fuel. She got some fuel, threw it in, eventually got the bike going. Back. They get back and they're waiting for these engineers, and John's like, your bike's old as well. And she's like, yeah, I've had it for a while. He said, why don't we get rid of that piece of junk in the garage and your bike? Can you trade them in and get a new bike here? That was his idea. Of course you can. Of course you can. And she's on it. Absolutely. And he's got a Honda Click. I'm sure it was a Honda Click. And she said, I like your bike, it's great. And he said, yeah, well, let's just get another one of those. Let's get a new one and chop those in. Is that a big thing now? Easy. Oh, well, we'll do everything tomorrow. Thailand's all about tomorrow. For Thai people, it's live for today. But for foreigners, it's tomorrow shopping. At this point, anyway, it must be a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something like that. He said, I've got to get hold of my bank. I need to get some money here. He's got online banking. But he rings. He's got onto the phone, onto his banking in Australia. Tells him he wants to send over some money, and they explain the process and all the rest of it. They give him some information, and he says, just go online, send it over. They just ask for ID and bits and pieces. And they said, just give us an idea of what sort of amount you want over. And he's thinking, well, if we do buy a car, it's a 1 or 2 million baht. And he just said, send 10 million baht over. Okay, so it goes then onto online, sends it 10 million baht. And Zoe's in the background watching. And she said, saying to him, how much did you send over? He said, I've just sent 10 million baht over. It's easy, it saves me mucking around. And her eyes are like, she doesn't really, well, unless she's seen any of his statements, she didn't know how much money he's got. But seeing her guy just go click, 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 10 million baht. Now, to an average working class Thai person, their whole life, they would probably not meet somebody who's, well, and there's a lot of rich Thais now, but they wouldn't, 10 million baht is just, they don't comprehend that much money, they just, and she's just like, wow, unbelievable. And a few keystrokes, it's ordered, set, and it'll probably take 2 or 3 days. But he's still got money enough to buy a scooter, so later on, the TV package comes, all gets installed, broadband, and they go through it all with John and Zoe and explain it all. John doesn't really understand it all, but Zoe gets her head round it. He'd rung his friend Bob at some point that morning or the day before, and Bob, he'd just turned up with his missus. They were going to go out for it in the evening together for a meal. And he turns up and he's like, oh, I know how to work all this. It's easy and I'll show you, and save the day. They set up passwords and all the rest of it. And they've suddenly got Wi-Fi, internet all around the villa, and all good. Click of a button, every TV's got every movie, every sports event. And Bob's like, me and the boys know where to come now to watch all the sports events. There you go. All he needs now is a barbecue by the pool, or maybe a TV by the pool. I don't know if Australians are big on barbecuing. Americans are. I suppose Australians are as well. Yeah, of course they are. They love their barbecuing. Anyway, all done. And he starts telling Bob about what they've bought and this and that. And Bob's like, wow. making the place amazing. And they got chatting, and he said, well, I'm going to get another scooter. These two are junk, and we're going to buy a new one. He's like, Bob's like, yeah, well. And then they go off. Day's finished. They go off, get a meal. And when they're having the meal, Bob, he's like, the girls are there, and Bob's trying to get the attention of John. And John can see there's something disturbing him, and he's like, what's up, Bob? What there's something wrong. And Bob's like, not sure how to tell you. He said, you know, I've got a few problems with my missus. And at this point, he did say he's married too. So his friend's married. And John's like, well, what's up? And he said, well, she has, over the years, she'd got into gambling. John's like, oh dear, is it big here in Thailand? And then Bob explains all about the gambling in Thailand. And he says, yeah, she has run up a huge amount of debt. And we're in rented accommodation. So he hadn't bought his house. And John's like, oh, I thought you bought your house. I thought you'd have bought it now with the money. And Bob's like, we've got guys knocking on the door, and she'd run up huge amounts of debt, and they're threatening to get physical with us. And he said, I put all the money in our joint bank to do everything, and wasn't really keeping an eye on it. We were going to buy the house, and I knew she had some problems because she admitted to him that she'd been gambling, and she needed a bit of money. And John's like, right. He said, you know, what sort of amount is she? You know, is it just a few thousand baht? And what are they gambling? And he said she's doing some sort of high-low card and casino, some casino which is illegal in Thailand. And he said, we keep having huge rows. And then he said, yeah, last night some people come to the door and I don't speak Thai, and they were getting really nasty, and she wasn't really translating properly. And he said, when I went to check my bank account, our bank account today, all the money's gone. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Let's just leave it there. We'll catch up on the next one about this. Was it $1 million Australian he gave him? I can't remember. Or was it $1 million American dollars? That's a huge amount of money. How could a Thai person gamble that much? How could they get it out of the bank to gamble that much? Anyway, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.